Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Yoga for the Back Body with Jim. I'm Jim. Today, we're going to be focusing on how we can use grounding as part of our staying in the present moment. By grounding, I'm going to mean we're going to touch our body, ground with our body, our hands on our body, and feel that touch. We're going to ground with our hands possibly on the floor, our feet on the floor, lots of ways, and we're going to really focus on that contact as a way to keep us in the present moment. So let's come to our backs. I want you to put your feet on the ground, knees up at the sky. I also want you to take your hands and place them on the floor or mat. So this is also an anchoring type move, right? So we're going to anchor our feelings and mind thoughts to where our soles of our feet meet the ground. So just feel the texture underneath you. Maybe if you're on a mat or a carpet, maybe the texture's a little bit rough and you can start to notice that. Maybe under your hands, if you're like me, you're practicing on a carpet. Maybe you can notice the strands of the carpet underneath your hands. And I've talked about this before. If you're okay with it, maybe close your eyes down to remove one of the senses. Just notice how the carpet or floor or mat feels underneath your hands and feet. And whenever your mind starts drifting off, slowly pull it back to notice the grounding. We all have thoughts as we're trying to do this. So the key isn't to stop, it's to just come back to the present as those thoughts just pass by and not attaching to them. We've all had those times where a thought comes into your head, you start ruminating on it, and next thing you know, you're in a full-blown crisis. But that thought was just a thought. It didn't necessarily needed to be acted on. And sometimes those thoughts aren't even rational. Come back to where your feet are touching the mat or floor, your hands are touching the floor. We all have such busy lives nowadays, and we notice that our phones or our devices are largely just distraction mechanisms sometimes. Not that they're not useful. I mean, heck, having a supercomputer in your pocket's pretty cool. And having instant access to maps and answers and finding the best place to eat, especially when you're out of town, are great things. But there's a lot of other noise that comes with that unless you shut off all your notifications. But use these tools to come back to that present moment and just stay here. Now we're going to extend our legs long, and we're going to go to a different technique now, if you're comfortable with it. We're going to bring a hand to your belly and a hand to our heart. We're going to ground to ourself, so to speak. I want you to notice how the hand feels on the belly, how the hand feels over your heart, and let them relax. Don't try to hold them up here. Just let them relax and be heavy. And notice how this shifts in your mind. Maybe you notice a little pressure as you inhale and fill up the belly. Maybe you can feel your heartbeat in your palm. If you can't feel your heartbeat, it's not a big deal. But maybe just think about it and really focus and see if you can get the faintest hint. Again, as your thoughts drift away, come back to the pressure under your hands. Notice the connection. As you're ready, let's start introducing some small movements. Again, I want you to stay focused on the movement and keep your focus there as we move our feet. Point your toes and then flex your feet back towards your face. So I want you to take your attention to those ankles and notice what happens when you point, flex, point, flex. Keep your attention on your ankles. Flex. One more time. Point, flex. Now take your attention up your shin to your calf muscles as you point and flex. So flex. You should notice the calf muscles contract. Sorry, point. You'll notice the flex. You'll notice the calf muscles get longer. Point, flex. Maybe when you flex your feet back, you notice that your heels come up off the mat. Okay, continuing up the leg, subtle movements. I want you to continue to stay focused. We're going to start flexing our quads. So we're going to flex. Notice how your kneecap shifts. Relax. Flex. Relax. Staying with that present moment. And then relax here. So we're going to go ahead and start here. We're going to bring our right foot into our left thigh. We're going to do a reclined tree, and yes, this isn't technically back body, but you'll notice it across the front of your hip and possibly into your glute here. I'm just going to be here a second. And then we're going to extend the right leg long, and let's bring the left sole of the foot into the right leg, recline tree. Take your hand, kind of maybe make sure your right hip didn't come up off the ground here. So as we move through the rest of class, I want you to notice the connection your body is making to your mat or floor. So every time we go to a pose, I want you to think about where we are and how you can focus on the grounding aspect to keep you in the present moment. So one more breath here. Extend the left leg long as we roll over onto our right side. And we're going to get to a tabletop here. So roll all the way over, however you choose to get there. Coming to a tabletop position, notice your hands grounding into your mat here. How does that feel? Notice your knees also. Maybe you tuck your toes and you notice how your toes are grounding to the mat or the tops of your feet. You can just pick one to stick with, noticing that grounding feeling. And on an inhale, I want you to drop your belly. Look up at the sky for cow. Exhale, I want you to push into the mat with your hands and knees. Arch your spine, tuck your tail, cat pose. Inhale, back to cow. Exhale, cat. Inhale, cow. Exhale, cat. Inhale, neutral spine. Take any organic movements for a brief period here. Maybe you do some barrel rolls with your belly and chest. Maybe you rock your hips side to side. Sometimes I like to get a little C shape in my spine here. Maybe circles with your hips. Whatever you need. And then we are going to go to puppy pose. So we're going to take our hands out in front of us and slowly let your chest come down to the mat, or maybe just your forehead. Notice your elbows grounding into the floor. I'm going to be here for a few breaths. When you're ready, let's slide our hands in, push ourselves up to tabletop one more time, tuck our toes, and we're going to go to downward facing dog. So in down dog, we're going to try to notice the grounding through our hands and through our toes or heels, whichever. If you can't reach your heels to the ground, perfectly fine. Push into your hands. I'm feeling really tight this morning. Maybe you are too. And actually, I'm going to move this rug out of the way because it's very hard in down dog. It doesn't have a lot of grip, like our mats do. There we go. Now, in this down dog, again, I notice where you're grounding. Take another breath here. On your next inhale, I want you to shift forward to plank. Notice the back muscles. Again, notice the grounding here. Push in with your hands, kind of sort of rolling your shoulders down. Engage your core, engage your thighs and your glutes. And then exhale, lower all the way down. Inhale to cobra. Exhale, forehead back to the mat. Inhale, cobra. Exhale, forehead to the mat. Inhale, push up on our knees. Exhale, downward facing dog.
And this down dog, let's take a horsey breath here. There's probably a more technical name for that, but that's what I call it. So take a deep inhale and then flutter it out. Come back to our grounding. Let's throw through that one more time. So we're going to inhale forward to plank. Exhale, lower all the way down. Inhale, cobra. Exhale, forehead to the mat. Inhale, push up on our knees. Exhale, downward facing dog. One more breath in down dog. Exhale, let it all go out loud. Inhale. Exhale, bring your knees down. Big toes come to touch. We're going to push our hips back to our heels. And ground down in our knees and our forehead. In child's pose. Maybe you choose to reach your arms out really far in front of you. Beard is in my face this morning in child's pose. Two more breaths in child's pose. Just come back to wherever your body is touching your mat. Last breath here. We're going to inhale forward onto our belly. Notice when we're on the mat, your hips are probably pushing in. Tops of the feet now are on the mat. So maybe as we go through another flow, you notice where your grounding is shifting as we move. Another way to keep ourselves in the present moment, just another anchor for us. So when you're ready, we're going to push ourselves up to plank on our knees. And then we're going to exhale ourselves up and back, finding our way to downward facing dog. So here we go again. We're going to do this, and I want you to notice the shift. So inhale forward, palms. Exhale, lower all the way down. Hips, tops of the feet. Inhale, cobra. Exhale, down. Inhale, push up on our knees. Exhale, all the way back. How'd that work out for you? So again, just notice the shift. Helping you stay anchored to the present moment as we move. Inhale forward, hands. Exhale, lower. Chest, hips. Inhale, cobra, hips and palms. Exhale, lower, forehead, palms, hips. Inhale, plank, knees and hands. Exhale, downward facing dog, feet and palms. Just notice the shifts. We're going to do one more. Inhale forward. Exhale, lower. Inhale, cobra. Exhale, lower. Inhale, push up on our knees. Exhale, downward facing dog. Just notice. Take one more breath here. Exhale, lower your knees. Bring your big toes to touch. Push your hips back to your heels. Lower the forehead. Again, noticing the shifts. you're ready, we're going to inhale forward and we're going to come to a seat. When you come to that seat, continuing our grounding, right? I want you to notice your sit bones grounding into the floor. Sitting up tall, remember the meditative seat, right? We're going to sit up tall, core is engaged, shoulders aligned over our spine, over our hips here. Pull your ears back. We're going to wind down a little bit different today, whereas we used to start sometimes with neck exercises. We're going to actually wind down with those today. So with that core engaged, that sit bones heavy, I want you to drop your chin to your chest. Take your attention to the back of your neck. Notice a subtle stretch across the shoulder blades and the traps. And then we're going to roll our ear, left ear to left shoulder. So make sure you stay upright. Notice the grounding still. Then I want you to take your left hand, put it on the floor. And I want you to bring your right hand up and over. Now we're getting a big stretch across the right side body, but notice the grounding of that left hand, and did your grounding shift in your bum? I tend to, when I push in with my right hand, I might lift my left bum up a little bit, left bum cheek up a little bit. And then we're going to inhale up tall, we're going to inhale, bring our right hand back to our knee. As we slowly roll our chin to our chest, bring our left hand back to our knee. Come back. I've got both sit bones evenly grounded into the floor. I'm going to slowly pull our right ear to our right shoulder. Place the right hand on the floor. Notice the grounding through the hand. And then we're going to inhale the left hand up and over. Check in on those sit bones. Did you do the same thing I did? We're going to inhale the left hand back up and over to our shoulder. Let your chin come back to your chest. Right hand comes to your knee. Slowly roll your head to the right and then all the way up and then to the left. Back to center. Let's do 2 more that way. To the right. And then after that second one, gradually shift back and go to the left. I think my neck really needed that. I hear a lot of popping. One more time. Let your head come back to your chest. Push your head up. Come back to our grounding. Where do you feel your hands on your body? Just like we did earlier, you can bring your palms to your belly and chest, kind of grounding internally, noticing how the hands and feel on your body. Something you can take with you off the mat is to just come to a seat and maybe you just notice your palms on your knees. Sit on a bench, do anything. You can close your eyes down or not. Just coming to that feeling. I tend to close my eyes down, but like I've told you before, I have this thing about trying to remove senses while I'm doing things. Now we're going to come to our backs. You're going to get out of core work this week. But next week, we'll come back to some core work. So bring your soles of your feet in. We're going to come back to where we started, grounding into our mat. But this time I want you to notice where your lower back connects, maybe your shoulders, maybe the back of your head. Now maybe you try to put it all together. Hands, feet, hips, lower back, shoulders. And you just run through those spots over and over and over again as we're lying here. Then when you're ready, we're going to take our legs long. When your legs get long, I want you to notice the back of your legs hitting the floor, maybe your back of legs or your calves or wherever. Your glutes are engaged in the floor, and notice the last thing, your heels. And then maybe as you drift off into your final resting pose, you just keep going through those in a cycle. So noticing your heels being grounded, the backs of your legs, your glutes. Highly possible with that arch in your spine, your lower back isn't touching now. Shoulders, backs of the arms, hands, and then go back the other way. Hands, backs of the arms, shoulders, crown of the head, glutes, back of the leg, heels. And just keep doing that. So just keep noticing your grounding as you're staying in the present moment. Slowly start bringing some movement into your fingers and toes. Rolling over onto your side. Pushing ourselves up to a seat. Palms together, heart center, head slightly bowed. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope some of these practices you can take off your mat whenever you need to, knowing that coming back to that present moment can help you in a lot of different ways. We're just learning some new techniques today. Thank you so much. Look forward to seeing you next time. I bow to you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'll see you next time, folks. Have a great week.